These dogs aren't pets, they're legends with jaws of steel. Get too close, and you'll find out why you never touch them. Meet a dog that doesn't just guard sheep, it guards entire mountain ranges. The Caucasian Shepherd, also known as the Caucasian Ovcharka, is a living wall of muscle, fur, and raw instinct. Originating from the rugged slopes of the Caucasus Mountains, this breed wasn't made for city parks or cozy apartments. It was forged by centuries of survival, fending off wolves, thieves, and even bears. Yes, actual bears. A full-grown male can weigh up to 200 pounds, stand as tall as the average fifth grader at the shoulder, and carry a bite force that can crush bone. When it plants its massive paws, it looks more like a lion than a pet. But this isn't just about size. The real danger is its mindset. These dogs were bred to make decisions without human input, and once they lock onto a threat, they don't hesitate. Caucasian Shepherds have been used by border patrols and prison guards because of how intensely territorial they are. They don't just bark to scare, they act, and they act fast. The breed doesn't respond well to strangers, loud noises, or sudden movements. For someone unfamiliar, walking up to one without invitation can feel like stepping into a medieval standoff. Yet to their families, they can be calm, loyal giants provided the owners have years of experience handling dominant dogs. This breed doesn't ask for direction. It needs a leader who understands how to handle a high-drive animal that weighs more than most NFL linebackers. What's striking is how quiet they are before reacting. No warning signs, no dramatic growls, just an eerie stillness, then a split-second decision. It's that unpredictability that keeps even experienced handlers on alert. Unlike most dogs, they weren't bred for companionship. They were bred to survive and defend at all costs. Some say the breed inspired the direwolves in Game of Thrones, and standing next to one, that comparison doesn't feel far-fetched. Their thick fur, intense stare, and massive size give them an almost mythical presence. But this is no fantasy. This is one of the most powerful land guardians on Earth, and it's not here to play fetch. In the rocky plateaus of Turkey, there's a dog that doesn't just defend, it dominates. The Kangal is the country's national treasure and one of the most powerful livestock guardians on the planet. It's not a myth this breed has the strongest measured bite force of any dog, around 743 pounds per square inch. That's more than a lion, more than a tiger, and definitely more than enough to crush bone in a single snap. Originally bred to protect flocks from wolves, jackals, and even bears, Kangals aren't pets in the traditional sense. They're workers. Their entire psychology is built around defense. They patrol, they calculate, and they react not out of fear, but out of duty. And when something or someone crosses into what they see as their territory, they don't bluff. What makes them even more intimidating is their calm. They're not loud or hyper. They're still, focused, controlled. But under that stillness is a storm that doesn't take much to trigger. That's why even in modern settings, many Kangals remain on chains or behind reinforced fencing. They're not the kind of dog you walk through a crowded neighborhood. In rural areas, especially in eastern Turkey, Kangals are treated with almost sacred respect. They're often adorned with spiked collars not for decoration, but protection against predators during fights. This is a breed that runs toward danger, not away from it. Despite their raw power, Kangals can be gentle with their human families, but only when raised with strict, consistent handling. If not, they can become dangerously independent. That's the paradox of a calm giant that, in a flash, becomes an unstoppable force. Think of them like the medieval knights of the dog world. Strong, disciplined, but lethal if crossed. And if there's one dog you don't want sizing you up, it's the Kangal. In Brazil, there's a dog so intense that it's illegal in several countries. The Fila Brasileiro is not your average guardian. It's a natural-born tracker, protector, and enforcer. Bred from mastiffs, bloodhounds, and bulldogs, the Fila carries the size of a tank and the instincts of a heat-seeking missile. What sets this breed apart is a word in Portuguese, ojeriza. It describes a deep, natural distrust of strangers, and it's literally part of the Fila's genetic makeup. This dog doesn't warm up to outsiders, it doesn't get used to visitors. It chooses its people, and that's it. Used historically to track fugitives and runaway slaves in the jungles of Brazil, the Fila doesn't just follow a scent, it locks onto it like a machine. And once it catches up, it holds. It's not a bite-and-run kind of dog. It grabs and doesn't let go. In modern times, this behavior has made the Fila nearly impossible to ensure, regulate, or control without serious training. That's why countries like the UK, Australia, and New Zealand have strict bans or import restrictions on the breed. The Fila's appearance adds to its impact: drooping skin, massive head, and a body that looks like it was carved from solid muscle. When it moves, there's a deliberate weight to every step. It's not flashy, it's not showy, it's efficient, and that's what makes it so effective and so feared. Still, to its family, the Fila can be incredibly affectionate, loyal to the core, but that loyalty comes with an edge. If the dog perceives any threat to its home or humans, it doesn't wait for permission. In short, the Fila Brasileiro is a breed built for one thing: protection at all costs. And for those outside its circle, there's no second chance. Just one look, one growl, and one decision. Power. That's the first thing you feel when a Presa Canario enters the room. This dog doesn't tiptoe, it stomps. Developed in the Canary Islands, the Presa is a Molosser-type breed with a thick neck, deep chest, and jaws that clamp like a vice. Historically used to drive cattle and guard farms, the Presa was also bred for fighting, and that legacy still simmers beneath the surface. Weighing up to 130 pounds and built like a bulldozer, this is a dog that doesn't just confront danger, it ends it. The Presa Canario hit global headlines in a notorious California incident that involved two of them overpowering an adult in a hallway. That event alone sparked massive debates about ownership laws and training responsibility. But that's only part of the story. The real danger with this breed isn't just its physical strength, it's the attitude. Presas are dominant, fearless, and constantly assessing who's in charge. Without structure, they don't just ignore commands, they challenge them. Their appearance plays a role too. Dark eyes, cropped ears, and a blocky head give the Presa a look that doesn't leave room for doubt. It's a protector and it wants you to know it. Still, under that armor is a deeply loyal companion to experienced owners. With strong training and clear leadership, Presas can become focused guardians of their household, but they're never truly safe around unfamiliar people without supervision. Their tolerance is limited, and their reaction time is fast. Owning one is like driving a high-performance car: thrilling, powerful, but unforgiving of mistakes. When handled properly, they're majestic. Mishandled, they become something far harder to control. In Japan, there's a dog that carries the legacy of samurai combat: quiet, controlled, and explosive. The Tosa Inu is Japan's answer to the gladiator breeds of the West. Originally bred for dogfighting under strict cultural rules, the Tosa isn't like other fighters. It doesn't snarl, it doesn't posture, it waits, then strikes. Weighing up to 200 pounds and towering over most other breeds, the Tosa combines the calm of an old monk with the strength of a heavyweight boxer. It was developed by crossing native Shikoku dogs with Mastiffs, Great Danes, and Bulldogs, all to create the perfect silent warrior. Fighting in Japan was governed by strict discipline. The dogs weren't allowed to show pain. Barking was frowned upon. The ideal Tosa fought in silence, and that eerie calm remains in the breed today. In public, Tosas can seem almost invisible. They don't jump or lunge unless triggered. But when that moment comes, they shift like a machine. No hesitation, no second thoughts. This has made the breed highly restricted. It's banned or heavily regulated in places like the UK, Denmark, and Norway. Even where it's legal, many insurers refuse coverage. What makes the Tosa so fascinating and intimidating is how unassuming it seems. It's not aggressive in the typical sense. It doesn't chase or bark without reason, but it watches, it calculates. In anime and martial arts films, there's often a calm character who's deadly the moment the fight starts. That's the Tosa Inu, a living paradox, peaceful, stoic, but capable of immense force. To those within its trust, it's a noble protector. To outsiders, it's a sleeping giant that you never want to wake. There's a breed that towers over almost every other dog on Earth, not just in height, but in legacy. The Irish Wolfhound is often called a gentle giant, but its origins are anything but gentle. These dogs were bred in ancient Ireland to pull warriors from horseback, hunt wolves to extinction, and even stand guard during battles. For centuries, they weren't pets. They were weapons. Modern Irish Wolfhounds can stand nearly 3 feet tall at the shoulder, and when they rear up on 2 legs, they easily surpass most grown adults. But even these giants are smaller than their ancestors. Historical records describe wolfhounds that were even more massive. Despite their size, Irish Wolfhounds aren't aggressive without cause. Their power lies in potential calm in everyday life, but with the kind of strength that commands instant respect. If a person tried to force their way past one, they'd quickly learn how fast 180 pounds of muscle can move. The breed's name is a clue to its job not guarding sheep, not fetching sticks, but taking down full-grown wolves. And they didn't do it in packs. One wolfhound was often enough. Their deep chest, long legs, and powerful jaws were engineered by centuries of survival. Irish clans prized them so highly that they were given as gifts to royalty across Europe. Today they live more peaceful lives, lounging like kings, walking with a quiet elegance. But the echoes of their history remain. Even in stillness, there's a presence about them. They don't bark unless there's a reason. And when they stand, people step back. They may not chase wolves anymore, but one look at an Irish wolfhound and you understand. Some giants never really fade. The Rottweiler is a breed that walks a very thin line between fierce loyalty and sudden aggression. Originally bred by Roman legions to drive cattle and guard outposts, Rottweilers haven't changed much over the centuries. They're still compact tanks wrapped in muscle and intensity, and they never stop watching. They can reach up to 130 pounds, but it's not just the weight, it's the power-to-weight ratio. Every movement is efficient, no wasted energy. Rottweilers are known for locking onto threats and refusing to back down, even when they're outnumbered. Their wide jaw and incredibly strong neck give them one of the most intimidating bite profiles of any domestic dog. The danger, however, doesn't come from a lack of control, it comes from the confidence. Rottweilers don't bark just to be heard. They bark when they have made a decision, and once that decision is made, it's incredibly hard to stop them. Still, with the right person, a Rottweiler can be one of the most stable and obedient dogs alive. Law enforcement agencies, military units, and private security teams across the world still trust them as working dogs. But that trust has to be earned. A poorly trained or neglected Rottweiler isn't just difficult, it can become unpredictable. One of the most misunderstood things about this breed is its silence. Many people expect a warning growl, a bark, or a sign. Rottweilers don't always give one. They react fast and with precision. That's why experts always recommend early training and constant supervision when the dog is around unfamiliar environments. They're like a coiled spring calm, but loaded with force. And once unleashed, few breeds can match their speed or power. Deep in the windswept valleys of Central Asia, there's a guardian that has watched over herds and homes for thousands of years. The Alabai, or Central Asian Shepherd, is one of the oldest and most enduring breeds in the world. It was protecting livestock back when trade routes were still carved out by hoof and wagon. This isn't just a dog, it's a relic of survival. The Alabai can weigh over 180 pounds and stand shoulder to shoulder with most large mastiffs. Its thick coat, massive head, and raw endurance were all shaped by the brutal terrain of the mountains and deserts it once roamed. Alabais don't just defend, they challenge. They're known to confront wolves, bears, and even full-grown predators without backup. Farmers didn't use fences, they used these dogs. What makes the Alabai different is its deep instinct for territory. It memorizes its environment like a map, and anything new, any sound, smell, or shadow gets flagged instantly. When provoked, the Alabai doesn't flare up, it locks in. Its stare alone is enough to freeze most intruders. Still, to its family, this dog can be gentle and even affectionate, but it must be handled by someone who understands its drive. These dogs aren't hyper. They're still, heavy, watching, and they have no patience for surprises. Today, Alabais are national symbols in countries like Turkmenistan, where they're given military honors and treated with deep respect. Their reputation isn't just about size, it's about presence. The kind that makes people rethink whether they really need to cross a gate. In the age of alarms and cameras, the Alabai remains a living fortress. Sharp, fast, calculated. The Doberman Pinscher is one of the few breeds that looks like it was designed in a lab for high-speed protection. Created in the 19th century by a German tax collector who needed backup on dangerous routes, the Doberman has kept that edge ever since. What sets this breed apart is its combination of speed, power, and intelligence. A Doberman doesn't just chase, it intercepts. With a lean frame, high muscle density, and a brain that never switches off, it's like a four-legged missile with a built-in security system. This is a dog that remembers everything: where you walked, how you sounded, how you moved, and it uses that information to decide what you are, a guest or a threat. Dobermans have been staples in police and military work for decades, chosen for their loyalty and ability to follow commands under stress. But this same intensity can become a problem if the dog is understimulated or undertrained. A bored Doberman is a time bomb, always looking for something to do or someone to watch too closely. Their appearance only adds to the image. Narrow muzzle, cropped ears, and a body that moves like a professional athlete. They're elegant but loaded with energy. Fast enough to outrun almost any human. Strong enough to bring one down. To their families, Dobermans are loyal to the end. But they form tight, exclusive bonds, which means anyone outside that circle gets treated with caution. Or worse, suspicion. If there were ever a dog that could double as a bodyguard, it's this one. Smart, sleek, and incredibly hard to fool. Few breeds have stirred as much controversy as pit bull-type dogs. From American Pit Bull Terriers to American Bullies and Staffordshire Terriers, these dogs share a similar look and a heavy reputation. Let's break the noise. Pit bulls were originally bred for bull baiting and farm work. That means strength, grip, and stamina were prioritized from day one. And today, that physical design still lingers: broad chest, low center of gravity, and a jaw that seems to lock when it grips. The numbers show that this group of dogs is involved in a high percentage of serious dog-related incidents in many parts of the world. But here's the nuance. The vast majority of these cases involve poorly trained, abused, or backyard-bred dogs with zero structure. When raised correctly, many pit bulls are loving, goofy, and deeply loyal. They thrive on human contact and love physical play. But even then, their energy and strength demand careful handling. Their unpredictability around other animals, however, is one of the breed's biggest challenges. They may be social with humans, but reactive with dogs. That's why experts rarely recommend them for first-time owners. In some U.S. cities and across several countries, laws have been passed restricting ownership, requiring permits, or banning them outright. And the debate rages on: are they victims of bad PR or too risky in the wrong hands? The truth sits somewhere in the middle. They're not monsters, but they're not for everyone. One mistake in handling and the consequences can be serious. Owning a pit bull type dog means stepping up with discipline, structure, and constant awareness. Anything less and the breed's strength becomes a liability instead of a gift. Step back into ancient Rome and you'll find a dog walking beside the legions, armored, muscular, and fearless. That dog's descendant still walks among us today. The Cane Corso. This breed was built for war, protection, and control. They were the enforcers of the Roman Empire, and they haven't lost that edge. With bodies shaped like granite sculptures and a bite that can challenge even the most powerful breeds, Cane Corsos are serious dogs for serious handlers. Weighing up to 120 pounds and standing tall with a deep, commanding bark, this breed doesn't beg for attention, it demands respect. Everything about a Cane Corso screams confidence, and that's exactly why they're both admired and feared. These dogs are territorial. Not just over space, but over people. If someone enters their perimeter without being cleared, they don't just bark, they move, fast and with purpose. Still, they're not wild. When trained early, Cane Corsos can be incredibly obedient. Their intelligence allows them to learn commands quickly, sometimes too quickly. They'll test boundaries, test people, test leadership. Their short coat gives them a sleek look, but don't be fooled under that shine as a relentless, powerful engine. One that doesn't need to show off to prove anything. They just wait and watch. In experienced hands, the Cane Corso is a remarkable guardian and companion. In the wrong hands, it becomes unpredictable and reactive. It's not the kind of dog you figure out as you go. It's a relic of Rome with the attitude of a modern security system, and once it steps forward, it doesn't look back. In the vast farmland estates of South Africa, one breed has stood guard like a living gate for generations: the Boer Bull. Pronounced Boer Bull, this dog was bred not to look intimidating, but to be intimidating. And it doesn't disappoint. With a weight often exceeding 150 pounds and the muscle tone of a prize fighter, this dog doesn't chase threats. It stops them cold. The Boer Bull's roots go back to colonial days, where farmers needed a single dog that could protect the family, control livestock, and take on predators, sometimes even big cats. Unlike other guardian breeds that work in packs, the Boer Bull was expected to handle problems on its own. That independence still defines the breed today. One of the most striking things about this dog is how it moves. It's not clumsy, not bulky, it's fluid. Athletic, almost like a panther, with paws the size of a grown man's fist. Boer Bulls have a broad chest, wide skull, and eyes that never stop scanning. When they sense something unfamiliar, they don't bark in panic. They assess, they position, then they act. What makes the Boer Bull particularly intense is its loyalty. Not casual loyalty, exclusive loyalty. These dogs are known to be calm and even gentle with their own families, especially with proper training and early socialization. But for outsiders, especially uninvited ones, there are no second chances. Burbles don't bluff. They block, bark, and if needed, strike. Because of their raw strength and dominant personality, Burbles are restricted or require permits in several countries. And for good reason. They're not meant for apartments or quiet suburban walks. They're estate protectors, and they still carry that mission hardwired into their instincts. This is the kind of dog that patrols the backyard like it owns the land. Because in its mind, it does. It's not aggressive for no reason, but when it perceives a threat, it doesn't hesitate. When you first see a Tibetan Mastiff, you might not even believe it's a dog. With its massive frame, lion-like mane, and fiery stare, it looks like something straight out of folklore and in its homeland. That's exactly what it is. This breed guarded Himalayan villages, Buddhist monasteries, and nomadic camps high above sea level, where survival meant strength, cold resistance, and a no-fear attitude. This dog is colossal. Some males top 160 pounds, and with their thick fur and towering build, they can appear even larger. For centuries, Tibetan Mastiffs were chained during the day and released at night to patrol, alone. They didn't work in packs, and they didn't need backup. A Tibetan Mastiff doesn't forget a face or a smell. It treats every newcomer as a potential problem until proven otherwise. And once it decides someone is a threat, there's no barking contest. It goes into defense mode instantly. Despite their intimidating presence, Tibetan Mastiffs have reached a surprising level of fame and price. At the peak of China's luxury dog craze, a red-coated male was reportedly sold for over $1.5 million. That price wasn't just about status, it reflected the breed's rarity, mystique, and raw power. These dogs were once considered symbols of prestige and protection, believed to bring good fortune to their owners. Even now, they're revered in parts of Tibet for their spiritual symbolism and ancient bloodline. But when brought into modern environments, things get complicated. Tibetan Mastiffs are not obedient by nature. They're independent thinkers, more like mountain guardians than household pets. Training one isn't about teaching commands. It's about negotiating with something that thinks it is in charge. That's about it. What is your favorite dog breed? Write in the comments. And don't forget to check out our other videos.